Welcome.
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 to breakfast together. Merhaba.
Kalimera.
Sabah al khair.
Günaydın. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We are greeting everyone in the episode of our breakfast together. I hope you have your coffee ready.
Coffee's right here.
Or
Yeah.
tea. Or beer. Hopefully not beer, but who knows.
No, it was the coffee cups.
Anyway,
Yeah, of course. Bavarian breakfast.
how are you guys doing today? Anyway, how are you feeling?
All good, all good. I'm here with Dilemma Host. Beautiful morning, Sunday morning. We had
So you guys woke up together.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
no. We just decided to hang up like really.
No.
We are one of these people that we just wake up like 6 o'clock, even on Sundays.
Of
And
course.
we do a lot of things like meditation,
Probably
workout,
running.
running,
Wow.
Preparing the breakfast.
Which
breakfast.
Yeah.
it's kind of bringing me to our topic that we wanted to talk about today, isn't it? How we learn languages. And it seems like something tells me you guys are doing it in the morning since you wake up so early, even on Sunday, because I'm sleeping until 9.
Exactly. That's one of the things that we do.
Yes, Sunday morning.
So anyway, last time we spoke about us. We were introducing us and talking about our language history and what languages we speak. And this time we wanted to share with our listeners the methods, techniques, and just in general background a little bit to how we learn. I mean, as you can see, our lovely Greek friends are learning with some alcohol. No, I'm it's a joke.
I'm
But
getting Russian with alcohol.
It is.
Very stereotypical.
yes, all techniques are allowed, but which techniques are we using? Because I'm sure there's so many different ways. I don't know. We all, I think, at some level speak Spanish, right? All of us.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, we used to speak a
So
lot in Spanish together, especially like me insisting.
yes, Irena, you are our Spanish engine. You're always saying, "Let's speak Spanish. English is too boring." But then, yeah, for the podcast, we decided to do it in English.
And that's
I don't know.
Asa is learning Spanish by converting her Italian knowledge to Spanish over time.
Yes, I'm cheating the system. Exactly. I think everybody should know that, and everybody, I mean, should know. I think it's not a secret that if you learn two same languages from the same group, you may encounter certain interferences. Of course, it also depends on the level of advancement of this language, but it definitely happened to me. Dilemma it's not that easy because the Spanish is being learned and being in progressing, but the Italian is kind of deteriorating, and I can see this now after how many months have I been learning Spanish? 5 or something? Yeah, 5.
Mhm. But how was it for you, like
But
learning Spanish after knowing Italian? Like, how did you start?
it's definitely much easier um, to learn Spanish now, and I have to be honest that I'm very weak at the grammar, even after 5 months. But my idea was to just start speaking. I know it sounds probably weird, but when you have Italian base and you understand already quite a lot, then you don't really. You just try to understand more and then listen and produce the speech. And here I want to say exactly how I did it. I during our lovely polyglot gathering that we had in June, and Telemachos, you were there, but Dimitris, you were not there, right?
Mhm.
In
Yeah,
No,
June.
no.
I wasn't. My first polyglot conference was in Budapest, where we all meet.
It
Yeah.
was his first introduction to the whole polyglot
Yeah,
community
you met the right people.
thing.
Yeah.
Yes, there are connections.
You stuck with the right people from the beginning.
And me and Irena, we were staying together in June in Poland during the gathering. It was a great experience, but the idea is that over there I met a person who speaks Spanish really well, so uh, I'm still helping a little bit with Russian, but the idea is that I found my language buddy. We just start speaking. We have a lot of like common interests, so that's just how the learning unrolled. You speak about things that are just a common interest. Hey, how are you doing? What's up? This that, um, and just simple messaging in WhatsApp, but all the time. The frequency has to be pretty. You can't just chat once in a week and expect some results. It was pretty much every single day for an hour or so, and then you would just chat and just. I used a lot of Google Translate. I have to admit this, so
Hmm.
it's not like, oh, let me just figure out and so on. No, I did use a lot of Google Translate, but that way I was able to like
Learn.
be picking up the conversation rather than, oh, can you wait for 20 minutes, I need to think what that can mean. And I actually found a very nice technique while chatting to someone on WhatsApp, and this is why I think we can use our language buddies in a more maybe functional manner. So whenever you chat to someone, we were speaking about politics, for example, and I asked his opinion because he's fluent in Spanish. So I asked his opinion on political situation. I think in France or something, because there were some kind of news that I read, and then I asked about that, and then he recorded like a 2 minute message. So that's kind of a long one for WhatsApp. So I listened to it. I obviously understood some things. I didn't understand some other things. Then I listened to it again and I transcribed it. So I opened the computer, I listened to it, and then I put the whatever I hear in a way, whatever I imagined, I put it on Word document, and then the Word document of the transcription I sent back to the language buddy to him. So he went through the document and he corrected my mistakes. Obviously, as you know, Word gives you some autocorrection and stuff like that, but there can still be some things you maybe misheard.
Hmm.
So I send it. That person sent it back to me to correct the mistakes. I corrected the mistakes, and then I opened the voice recorder and I recorded the whole entire transcribed text by reading it to this voice memo. And then that voice memo. So you are practicing speaking at that moment, and then that voice memo was sent back to the language buddy to see the pronunciation, to correct on things, and so on and so forth. So that was a kind of a natural, like I didn't read it anywhere, but we just came up with this method and it was really helpful.
Okay.
That's such a
Uh,
great idea. I really like it because from what you were describing, it doesn't sound to me like you're actively learning, the way people understand it conventionally, that people take a textbook or, yeah, like you do some, I don't know, like flashcards or whatever. So you're basically just talking to your language buddy,
yeah.
chatting, voice messages and texts, and like sometimes you transcribe, but also you mentioned off record that you're listening to music in Spanish.
Oh yes, you got me there. I mean, how does your playlist look, guys? I don't know. I mean, you probably listen to many different songs, but I started listening to urban Latino a lot. And
It
yes, I
helps. It
specifically
helps.
have moments when I listen only to that. How about you? I don't know. What's in your playlist?
Actually, it's funny because that's kind of like the way you learn Spanish is kind of how I started learning Russian. First of all,
Okay.
because my first contact with the Russian language was through like a song, like a Ukrainian singer who was singing in Russian, and I was like, okay, first of all, I wanted to understand a bit, like, okay, what's been written there. So
Which one? Which one was it?
Luna, yeah, I
I
don't know.
don't know.
Most Ukrainians
Wow.
don't know her, but whatever. But yeah, no, but I don't even know how I found her, but it's. So I wanted to know, like, okay, how does this language, how do you read this language? So I started learning the Cyrillic alphabet, how to read it, and it's not as difficult as people think. So to anyone who's thinking
You're
about,
Greek. Come on. Our alphabet comes from your alphabet.
yeah, but it's still,
That's not that
I
easy.
think it's still not so difficult. Like both Greek and Russian alphabets, the Cyrillic alphabets are easier than people think. So whoever is thinking of learning these languages and has any, second thoughts because of the alphabet, I would say don't worry about that. You will have other problems very soon enough.
Yeah, exactly. It was
Uh,
pretty easy to pick up actually the Cyrillic alphabet. Maybe because we are Greeks, I have the same feeling
mhm.
as Telemachos. It was pretty easy. Like in 1 week, I could
Wow.
barely like understand most
Don't
of
trust the
the words.
Greeks.
Yeah, yeah,
If you didn't get it, you didn't-
Exactly.
but and then like basically so I started like a little bit with songs because I think music is a really good way to learn some things, especially when you don't know the language, because you keep hearing the same words over and over again and you don't get tired of it.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to
It's
get
like a repetition method kind of
Yeah.
thing.
exactly, yeah,
Like, ella me preguntó, to.
Dura, Dura.
Dura.
yeah.
Yeah, by listening to that song, you learn two languages, Russian and Spanish at the same time.
Exactly.
and
Those who know.
and
Those who know, know.
basically the way like I started like learning Russian a bit more also was similar to you. I said like I was chatting with friends, for example, including Irena, and I was chatting in Russian, of course, using a lot of translation, but I kind of like tried to um, say think like describe things in a very simple way, so I can use as many words from what I know as possible, and just resorting to translation for the details or to correct some things, and just like to have a contact with the language, and especially with Russian, with the problem for if you don't speak any language of that branch is that you don't all the words look like nonsense to you. It's like you don't have any connections, so it's difficult to remember the words in the first place. With Spanish, you have English, a bit of like Latin, so you can make sense of a lot of words. But with Russian, it's like just remembering the words is one of the first challenges, and just even if you don't know it by heart, just seeing these words repeated in conversations and chats over and over again, it helps you to familiarize a little bit with the words. So I was doing like
uh,
a similar
yeah.
Yeah.
as you in the end.
I I feel I admire people that learn or use actually music to learn language and new words or whatever. In my opinion, I haven't tried that or it doesn't work so well for me because I think it's, as you said, like it's a repetition that is pretty good for language learning. Don't get me wrong, but I do prefer using podcasts because it's more natural way of whenever I walk to my to the office or like going outside or using the public transportation. It feels like a bit more natural to listen about the topic than listening to a song. Now, if my brain is tired and I don't need to like to focus on a specific thing, I would might use like some music or some songs in a specific language
Also to relax a bit.
to relax a bit. Yeah, but I admire people that do that and they learn from games or from songs or whatsoever. Something else I wanted to say, writing is a not so popular thing, or people do in language learning circles think that yeah, we have to speak and listen in order to understand, to get to know a language, to learn a language, and sometimes reading as well. But people don't really write. Sometimes people write their own diaries or things like that. But I think what writing can give you is like you have the time to think about what you're writing, and it takes, especially in the beginning, it takes longer to make up a phrase. Writing in the beginning is a really, it's not the optimal thing, but when you get an intermediate level in one language, I think it can really help you to learn the language better and feel more comfortable. And then eventually, you can use in your when you're speaking with somebody, use phrases or words that you already know from writing with a person or in an application or even in a diary or
But
something.
what do you write? Is it like you prefer, for example, personally to write a diary, or is it like you just choose a topic and you write something?
No, no. What I'm saying is like when I feel like comfortable, for example, with Spanish, I start like writing to colleagues or friends that are from this country.
Hmm.
Like chatting.
Let's chatting mostly.
So like what Telemachos was essentially
Yeah, yeah,
saying.
yeah. But
Mhm.
that really helped me. But at the same time, I feel I don't want to do that when I have like a beginner level, because drains a lot of energy for the
Yeah.
person.
And kind of dismotivates maybe a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah,
Exactly,
because it's
and
too
then
difficult.
yeah, and it's difficult for me as well, but also drains energy from the person, and really has to be patient, because you're gonna make a
Yeah,
lot of
for sure.
mistakes. A lot of things will not make sense. So I think I will start like writing, not like a diary, but like chatting with people or friends, whenever I have an okay's level that I can make mistakes, but I can still pass the message, what I want to try to talk about, over a conversation or over a topic.
I think there are two factors. Saying that there are two factors here. First of all, it depends on your personality. Like, what's your preferred style of communication? Some people. That's why some people focus on speaking, while other people focus on writing. Because yeah, like maybe they're shy or whatever. It's what makes you feel more comfortable. And second of all, it also depends on your goals. Like as you were saying, Dimi, like a lot of people don't write, true, but let's say I used to teach Norwegian professionally, and I used to teach some courses where we were focusing completely only on writing, and that's because people need to work, people need to pass exams, whatever. So I think it really depends on what you need the language for. But now most of us, I think, in the polyglot community just want to learn languages in order to communicate, just like yeah, grab a coffee together, breakfast together. so,
Yeah.
so for that, you do not need to write essentially, or not to write that well. And I want to say one last thing. Well, like when you were saying when to write, like do you start writing in the beginning, or do you like kind of delay it and write it when you're more fluent? um I think it, yeah, also depends on the language. But let's say with Polish, like I speak Polish, like nah, okay, but I never
She speaks Polish
really,
well. Come on, Irena, don't be like
nah,
that.
not really, but thank you. Dziękuję. So I never really learned how to write. So, and Polish is such a difficult language to write, and I see now that I'm really, really struggling. So it's kind of weird, but because yeah, like I can speak, like not like super well, but I can speak. I can make myself understood, but like writing is really bad. I write like a, I don't know, 3-year-old child. And 3-year-old children don't know how to write. So
Yeah, I think it's a very important thing. Yeah, this factor that you said about why we are learning, right?
mm,
hmm yeah. Like this reminded me of, for example, with like my outlier language, for example, is German in a way, because it's the only language I learned purely academically. So I learned it only like in school. I went to a German school, and basically it's like I learned it from the ground up, from A1 to C2, just like school academically, like exams and everything.
Grammar, I guess, more
So
or
yeah,
less.
yeah. So there was like a lot of focus on grammar, a lot of focus on writing, and it's like coincidentally a very good language for that, because it's a language that has a lot of rules and requires a lot of thinking. So if you start speaking directly, it's going to be really difficult for you, because you have to think about so many things while
mm,
you're structuring a sentence. So it really helps if you start with writing, so you can get used to the like unorthodox patterns of the language, with like the verb at the end, and like the numbers and all of those things. So then they can come up a bit more naturally when you speak, because all of us have noticed when we try to like speak in and have like some difficult grammatical thing, like the subjuntivo in Spanish or the verbs in German, you
Mm,
have to like
subjuntivo me
keep
gusta.
stopping and thinking. Yeah, exactly. So you have to keep stopping and thinking, and if you can do something slow, you can do something fast. So first and the way you do it slowly is either you will have to speak very slowly, which is annoying, or you can write. So you have your time, you have your like patience, and you can practice on getting that going. But of course it's a trade-off, because then for example, I was not speaking at all, so I had really, like my speech was very stilted. It was very, I was speaking like I was writing, so it was like very unnatural. It was like very, I couldn't say, like, if I wanted to say something fast, I couldn't do it. I have to like use like a whole like long sentence, like I don't remember. Ich kann mich nicht daran erinnern, which is like,
mhm.
6, 7 words, which is the proper way to say it, but nobody says it like that. So you lose a little bit of that thing, like the slang, like the intuition, like how people
Yeah.
would speak in like a real context. So again, there's a trade-off, but there are of course merits to both techniques, I would say.
So how have you balanced the, because you mentioned slang, and it's you need to have exposure to either like living in the country
Hmm.
or watching movies
Yeah.
or like YouTubers, podcasts, like listening to podcasts. How
Hmm.
do you balance this academic
Hmm.
like knowledge that you had on the language in German, and get to know the slang and how do you properly isn't properly but use the language in a
More like
more,
natively.
yeah, more
More,
natively,
more
Yeah.
more
make your
relaxed
language
way.
more real, you know, more
Yeah,
Hmm.
authentic.
exactly.
I'm actually still struggling with that a lot. It's one of the most difficult challenges with my German, I would say, because first of all, we don't have so much exposure to like the let's say like the I don't know, everyday culture, because like with English, they like England, like English speaking countries are exporting so much culture that even if you've never been to an English speaking country, you still know
It's
how they talk on
everywhere.
the street,
Mm.
pop cultures.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
But
With
you
German,
live in
you have.
Germany. You live in Germany. Habibi, come to
I'll come to
Germany.
that. I will come to that. First of all, I live in Berlin, not in Germany,
Yeah, that's
which
a
is literally
very
Okay.
the worst place to learn
To
German in
learn
the
German,
entire country. But
I double that.
yeah,
I second that.
if you want to speak Spanish, Berlin is a great place. If you want to speak German, it's like not the best.
wow.
So yeah, so you don't have so much like the help with like with English. I could speak like a bit more slang because of movies, music, series, everything. With German, it's not so easy. So first of all, you have to live in the country. I think it's almost impossible if you don't live in the country. And then it's like the problem, that you have to, like push through a lot of like periods and conversations where you are struggling, and you're not having as much fun as you would have speaking in another language, but you're like still stick speaking in that language. Like if you go out with a group of Germans, it's even today, like after 4 years, I'm still lost very often because
The
you have
slang, the words that they
it's slang. It's
use.
also like the accents, because I
Exactly.
think it's
Yeah.
the accents because I think in Germany people from all over Germany are in the same group of people. So some people you can understand perfectly, some people you don't understand anything. So and
Right.
you don't know what's why, you don't know the reason. People mumble, people like talk while laughing, while drinking. So it's like all these things that
Speak fast as well. Then
speak
they
fast, of course. Yeah, like chop words.
chop
So
words. And
Mm.
one thing is that if you're not a native, you cannot like I figured this out myself when I listen to something in Greek and I maybe listen like 70% of a phrase. I'm gonna probably my brain will
yeah,
understand the rest or like make like
it will fill
find
fill in the
fill the
gaps.
gaps and find the words. But when it's like in any other language, maybe English is better for sure because I've been using this for many years, at least for the last 5 years. But for German, I feel the same. Like they
Mm,
say something, and I have to pick up the words and say like, okay, what could be the other one that they might
yeah,
sound
yeah.
something similar or like a similar word that you know, but you're not 100% that sure because you don't have this rich vocabulary in the
Mhm.
language and this exposure to the language.
Exactly. So to conclude, I would say it's like, for example, living in a VG with German speakers, so it's much easier. Like like we talk only German. So like the everyday, like everyday things that you speak and spontaneous things and slang is. I learned like a lot of slang just because of that. So I would say like the best thing is to put yourself in context and scenarios where you will like communicate with the people, but in like an everyday manner. Because I also work in German, but I just know like the work words in
Of
German. I don't
course.
know like the
Mm.
slang. So if you put yourself in context, like
Yeah, I,
hobby groups, flatmates, all of that, or like data German, I've also heard is like a very good method. Or like in any language, it's these things usually help you a lot with like
you have to
this.
spend time with the, let's put it that way, native speakers or people who
Fluent
are
speakers.
like native
Yeah.
speakers.
Yeah,
Because
but they
there
have
is
to be
no other
like
way, I think. It's a very difficult task if you try to language leaves with its slang and informalities as well, and it has culture in it, so I completely understand because my Turkish is purely, I call it sokak Türkçe. It means the street Turkish. I speak
okay.
very informal Turkish, super super informal, and I did have big problems with incorporating Turkish into workforce because my Turkish was very informal. So people thought I'm Turkish because I speak like a kid from the street, but when I had to put it into a formal, proper once upon a time situation, I couldn't. So I had to learn that part. So I did the backward kind of thing. And I think, again, we are bouncing back to what Irana was saying in the beginning, that um, what is the purpose, and whether we can, let's say, use the language up to a certain level for our own pleasure and speak it. And then when we find the need to
Yes,
go deeper into, let's say, writing because we need it, or more formal language, then we also go into that area.
because
But,
the purpose can change,
uh,
right? Like as you said, like you
exactly,
became fluent first, you were
it can
interested in,
evolve.
yeah. Mm.
I think that the I think why people, a lot of people still to this day are discouraged about learning languages is because we all have this impression, or at least half of the world has this impression, that language is something very serious, daunting, and academic. And it is difficult. Nobody wants to sort of be bored. But if we tell people that, hey, you can just, live in a different country, hang out with people you like, discuss hobbies you like, do something together that you like, and you pick up the language, the new one, that doesn't sound that bad when you look at it that way.
I can definitely relate,
Um,
especially with the Arabic, which is a language that I've dedicated a lot of my time to, and well, the whole degree, both bachelor's and master's, because Arabic is notorious for being extremely difficult. And well, yes, it is like
yeah,
frankly one of the most difficult languages in the world, according to FSI and other research, but there are many Arabics, and those are almost like different
exactly.
languages. So people are scared, and a lot of people think that they have to learn Fusha, which is MSA, Modern Standard Arabic, and that one is very, very difficult. It also has different sentence structure and grammar, and a lot of words that are only unique to Arabic. Like they don't say computer, they say hasub, and I don't know, like any words that
Counting
they,
machine.
yeah, like they come up exactly. Yes, hasab is, yeah, counting. So the same in Turkish, I guess.
Yeah.
So like, but in then there are dialects, right? And that is spoken, as you were saying, Asa, that's street language, and that is so much easier than Fusha, than modern standard Arabic, and it's so much more fun for me personally. I'm talking only about my own experience for my purposes, and it also has similar structure to European languages. Like I went to like somewhere, and it also has a lot of common words with European languages. At least, I mean, I speak Levantine dialect, so ascensor is an elevator, or computer is computer, and yes, and there
How
are
did you crack into this? How did you, after your degree, like how did you crack into that informal Arabic? How did
I
you do
didn't
it?
I didn't do it
Did you hang out
after.
with the
I
people?
didn't do it after. This here is the trick. I did it during, because I was very lucky. Like
Okay.
most of the degrees in Arabic in the world, they only focus on Fusha, MSA. But in my university, in Oslo, University of Oslo, they started teaching the dialect parallel to the MSA. So I knew from day one I spoke Fusha, of course, better and then I spoke the dialect when I started. Now my Fusha is almost non-existent. I mean, I understand, yeah, but I wouldn't say that I can speak because I completely like decided I want to focus on the language, on the dialect, because I want to work with people. I would like to maybe work with refugees, and I know that refugees do not speak Fusha as a native language because no one does. It's like Latin, like they only use it in, I mean, okay, not really like Latin, but they only use it in news, in
Yeah.
literature, so very, very formal settings. So so yeah, my purpose was to communicate with people, and I achieved my purpose by learning a dialect. But what I also wanted to say is that Dimi, you had such a good point about what did you have the point about? You can
It's
cut this
always
out.
like this.
You had many good
Very
Really
good
good
points.
point
point.
that you
Big,
even
big,
But
forgot
big
what the
I don't
point
points.
remember
was.
what.
Just a compliment for her.
Yeah.
But
I was
until
holding
you
I was
remember,
holding to that thought. I was holding to
Yeah.
that thought, and I thought like, yes, I'm gonna say it. Yes, but
It's
yes,
absolutely
I
normal. It
remember.
happens to me like all the time.
I remembered, yes, because Asa, you were saying that well, people. people are discouraged of language learning because they think it's difficult. It think it takes forever. You have to learn all that grammar, all those boring rules. And then you, Dimi, you were saying that sometimes in the conversation that you don't understand like all the words, right? And here is like a lot of people ask me, so you are a polyglot, what is your secret? What is your secret? So guys, the drum roll, here is one of my secrets. I'm going to reveal, which is not really a secret. I think many people do this, but you have to let go the feeling of total control in the conversation. You have to accept that you will not understand every single word, and you have to be eventually guessing. Even in German, even a person as Tilema, who has been learning German for 10 years, and living in Germany for 4 years and speaks it fluently, it's okay. This will happen to you all the time. I've been living in Norway. I work for the government. It's happening to me after 12 years in this country. But so for me, it's okay. Like, I'm not discouraged by it, but a lot of people are. It makes them so stressed, and they feel like, in my native language or in English, I'm proficient. Like, I'm an architect, I'm a lawyer, I know my ways of saying things. But in, Russian, Spanish, Arabic, you name it, I'm like, they said this word and then they said this word, I don't understand, like I couldn't catch it, it's so fast. They panic. So don't panic, relax, enjoy, have fun.
Really good point.
Yeah,
Really good point.
especially.
Sorry, go for it. Go for it.
No, just especially the fact that even if in our own language, let's say the native or the one we were born into, there are for sure some words we don't know. And for some reason, we're not embarrassed by that, but we're suddenly embarrassed by the other language. What's the difference? In the end of the day, there is no controllable element to be born into certain native language, right? Because we don't choose it, but we choose to learn the languages. So why suddenly, when we don't understand the word in our own language, we are fine. We're like, oh,
Mm,
whatever. I don't know what it means, whatever. But then in the other language, we're like, oh, I said
yes.
bonjour instead of bonjour. Oh my god, the end of the world. No, it's not. Nobody cares but
Yeah.
us.
And with this, we have arrived at the end of the part one of this episode. Part two will be coming up in 2 weeks, so stay tuned and have a great Sunday, everybody.
Have a great Sunday morning.
Bye. See you next time.